Hi everyone, I'm Mira Frisch and I teach cello at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and I'm here today at D'Addario to talk to you about playing pizzicato and also finding your first notes, playing your first notes on the cello. So hopefully you've already watched the video on proper seated position with the instrument and also proper left hand setup first. So the first thing I'll do is teach you how to play pizzicato on the cello. That's when we're going to be plucking the strings with the first finger of our left hand. So I'm actually going to have you set your thumb just about an inch or two from the bottom of the fingerboard, right on the side of the fingerboard, and you're actually just going to just gently press the fleshy part of your thumb against the fingerboard, and you're going to tilt your hand so that your palm is facing towards the ground or towards the bridge. And then I'd like you to actually gently tuck your second, third, and fourth fingers under, and you're going to use your first finger, just nice and curved fashion, we'll start on the D string. We're just going to pull the string to the side and release. And it's actually okay if you let the finger fall all the way to the next string and let it rest there. Notice that I've got my elbow pretty high, my right elbow pretty high, so that I can reach to the D string. And if I'm going to pluck on the G string, I'm going to let my elbow fall a little bit to pluck on the G string, and then C string even lower, and way up high to pluck on the A string. So we're going to use this technique as we're perfecting our left hand position and learning our first notes on the cello. So the first thing I'm going to do is teach you how to depress the string down to the fingerboard. I want you to make just a gentle fist, no squeezing, and I want you to set that fist kind of right in the middle of your fingerboard, and I want you to imagine that you're at the gym or in a rowboat and you're using your back muscles to pull back this way, kind of in a rowing machine or rowboat motion. You're going to use those back muscles to pull the strings down to the fingerboard. And I want you to do that a few times in the middle of your fingerboard till you're comfortable, and then you can bring the wrist down here and do the same thing. And then eventually you can set the wrist on top of your left hand tapes and try the same technique. So if you can do this, if you can get the strings down to the fingerboard, that means that you're using your back muscles to do so, and that's just perfect technique. Then you're going to go ahead and set your left hand position. Remember to always start with 4, 3, 2, and 1 on the side. And I just want you to touch the strings very gently at first. Then we're going to just release thumb just a few millimeters so that you can't squeeze with your thumb. And I want you to use those same back muscles to pull the strings down to the fingerboard. And it's so important that your fingers stay nice and curved. If your fingers aren't strong enough to do this, then I want you to pull the strings just as far as the fingers are able to handle, and hold and release. And if you do that every day and repeat, eventually your fingers will be strong enough that you can get those strings all the way down to the fingerboard. Once you've gotten the strings down to the fingerboard, you can set your thumb back on your thumb bump, no squeezing allowed. You can get your pizzicato hand ready on the D string, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to play a descending scale starting with G, fourth finger on the D string. I'll demonstrate this. Notice when I lift fingers, I keep them curved in position right above the fingerboard. I'm thinking of my helicopters. And I can do that on each string. I'm always going to be thinking about my left forearm as I move to a new string, and I will always set fourth finger, third finger, second finger, and 1 on the side, always checking that my elbow is out to the side and my wrist is straight. Then I'm going to release thumb to make sure I'm using my back muscles to bring the strings down to the fingerboard. It's so important not to squeeze the strings to the fingerboard using a tight thumb. Then I set thumb back gently on the thumb bump, no squeezing allowed, and I'll do the same thing on the G string. Remember that my left elbow has come forward to play on the G string, and my right elbow has dropped a little bit to pizzicato on the G string. Same thing on the C. on the A. Notice how I'm adjusting with both of my elbows. When you get really comfortable with that pattern, maybe even after several weeks, then you can go back down the scale and back up. The beauty of keeping your fingers in position as helicopters as you lift them is that they're ready to go right back down on the string. So keep practicing your descending scales mainly. When you get really good at that, you can add an ascending scale. And most important thing, make sure your fingers are curved, that you're not lifting them too high, and that your thumb is nice and soft. I hope you found this video helpful. And in the next video, I'll teach you how to hold your bow so that eventually you can play all these notes you just learned with your bow.